All right, so ready to go deep on something pretty heavy, but really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Today, we're going to be looking at what veterans go through after they come back from war.
Yeah.
You know, the battles that they're still fighting, even when it seems like the fighting's over.
Right.
And to help us understand this complicated world, we're going to be looking at this poem, Heavy Lies the Crown of War,
Yeah, it's a powerful piece.
by SFC Kadavy.
Yeah, and I think it, speaks to a lot of the struggles that people don't always talk about.
Right, and that's what we're going to be digging into today.
Yeah.
I mean, the title of the poem, even just that image of a ground of war,
Yeah,
it really sets the stage.
it does.
Makes you think about all that weight, all that unseen stuff,
Hmm.
that people carry with them who have seen these things, experienced these things.
Absolutely. I mean, you think of a crown,
Right.
you think of victory, like,
Yeah, something glorious, right?
right, glory is something to be celebrated.
Yeah.
But here it's heavy. It's a burden. And I think when you get into the poem and you start reading about, the fire and the chaos, the bullets and bombs,
Yeah, it really,
you start to see why.
starts to feel real heavy.
Yeah, it's not sugarcoating anything.
No, it's very raw.
Shattered bodies and tortured minds. Like, that's powerful imagery.
Right, and that's what we're talking about today, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
we're not talking about the physical wounds of war. We're talking about the invisible wounds.
Exactly. The stuff that you can't see, the stuff that lingers long after the physical scars have healed.
Yeah. And something else I wanted to touch on was this phrase that jumped out at me in the poem, sick call ranger.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, it really gets at this this conflict that a lot of veterans seem to deal with.
Yeah, because you've got this military culture, right, where it's all about strength, pushing through the pain,
Right.
never showing weakness. Yeah, and that's necessary when you're out there.
Right, on the battlefield.
Right. But what happens when you bring that back home?
Right. Then what happens?
Yeah.
You're still trying to be that
Exactly.
even when you're hurting, even when, you're struggling mentally.
And I think that leads to, people not seeking help when they need it,
Right. Bottling it up.
internalizing it. Yeah.
And it's made even harder by what a lot of veterans go through when they come home. The poem talks about it as a different war, a deeper strain.
Mm.
Like the battlefield might be over, but they're fighting a new war now.
Right. They're trying to navigate a world that doesn't understand what they've been through.
Right, exactly.
And those lines, silence our armor, pride our shield, bearing the wounds we never revealed. I mean, that's heady stuff.
It is, and it really speaks to that feeling of being alone, of not being understood.
Absolutely.
And, it gets even worse when veterans have to deal with the VA, the system that's supposed to be there to support them.
Oh, absolutely.
The poem talks about this too. All the paperwork, the red tape, having to prove invisible wounds.
It's like they're being punished for their service.
Yeah, exactly. And there's that line, we bled for a nation that we adore, yet stand forgotten at the VA's door.
Like, how much more clear can you be?
Yeah, I mean, it really gets at that feeling of betrayal that a lot of veterans feel.
And it's not just, a feeling, it's the reality for a lot of people, The wait times to get mental health help, to get appointments at the VA.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be weeks, months, even.
Yeah, and it just shows that the system's not working the way it should be.
No, it's not. And, there are people within the VA who are trying their best, but the problems are huge.
Yeah, like the rejection rate for PTSD claims is ridiculous.
And the whole system, the bureaucracy.
It's overwhelming.
It's so difficult to navigate, especially when you're already struggling.
So what do we do, This poem, it takes us through the horrors of war, the internal struggles of veterans, and then the failures of the system that's supposed to help them.
Right. And I think that's the point, right? It's not just about raising awareness.
Right, it's a call to action.
Exactly. It's a call to recognize those invisible wounds, to fight for better support, to understand that the battle doesn't end when they come home.
And that's where you come in, the listener.
Yeah.
Like this poem, it's just one piece of a much bigger puzzle.
It is.
And it makes you think, what can you do to make a difference?
Right.
How can you help bridge that gap between the sacrifices that veterans have made and the care that they deserve?
Yeah, maybe it's volunteering at a local organization. Maybe it's advocating for change.
Or even just starting a conversation with people in your community about these invisible wounds of war.
Yeah, I think awareness is the first step.
It is. So take this deep dive, use it as a starting point, and keep exploring this because it's important.
Yeah, it really is.
All right, that's it for today.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time.